It's officially 2 o'clock. I'm pretty excited about this presentation, live lesson. Something that I have a lot of passion towards. It's something that I continue to this day to refine, to master. Um, I think it's a very beneficial um, subject to cover with students. A lot of this information uh, definitely gets overlooked. This particular presentation that I'm going to be going over, I certainly would like to master a better copy of it. But for today, I'll be using my notes that I created. So we'll be doing that today. Once again, Mr. Loya, live lesson for Wednesday the 2nd. Again, I'll be covering interview process, interview notes, uh, but anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get into this discussion. I'm going to start off with the general notes. I'm hoping that everybody can see the presentation and make sure. All right. So hopefully everybody can see that. If you have any questions, certainly feel free um, to ask those towards the end of the discussion or the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and move into it. So general notes for interviews. The employer by law must ask you at least 2 questions in an interview. Any illegal situations/questions can be reported to the Texas workforce. If you are not seen during a scheduled interview time, by law, the company is required to schedule you. Okay. So before the interview, these are 2 subjects that need to get discussed and certainly clarified. We're going to discuss what to do before your interview. So you're certainly going to do your research. So you're going to familiarize yourself with the job description thoroughly. You may have to break it down and prepare yourself accordingly to the description. You certainly want to use the wording that they have provided if it references your skills. But you certainly want to compare, contrast yourself with the job description. Certainly be aware of the skills, experiences, and other qualities the potential employer is seeking. Note that when you are working on your resume and specifying it towards that particular position, make sure that you are utilizing your trade vocabulary. Articulate with that information. Certainly address your resume accordingly and associate your job description information within that. Now, once again, just to clarify, the specified job description is going to change your resume just a tad bit. I think every resume is going to be different for the most part within every position that you apply for. So make sure that whenever you are researching the company, that you coordinate your information into your resume, specify the verbiage or the wording that is utilized within the job description. Okay. So things you want to know about the company. You certainly want to know their mission/vision statement. That's usually on their website. Certainly about history, size of their organization. If you're able to find their annual sales growth for the past 2 years, certainly some information to evaluate. You certainly want to know the competition. I certainly believe that the competition is going to be a valuable part of deciding whether you want to work for this particular company or their possible competition. So definitely knowing how they differ, the pros and cons for each could potentially help you in deciding with which company to go with. Now, I will also mentioned that knowing the competition could give you a leg up in negotiation. It certainly will give you um, a better grasp of what a company could provide you, possibly in details for benefits and so forth. So it's good to do your research. It's definitely something that will give you a leg up against competition or other potential candidates that are going for that position. Next is the geographic location and their headquarters. I certainly want to know the type of training programs that they provide, and as well as the specific requirements for the job or training programs that you're applying for. Uh, the next item is opening moves. Certainly something that you want to remember when strategically planning your process for the interview. You certainly want to have your references in line. So before you process any applications or um, attempt to attend a held interview, certainly want to make sure your references are aware that they're still willing to be references for you. You certainly want to give them updates and communicate with them effectively. These guys are going to be your backers. They're going to provide details as to who you are, what kind of capabilities, strengths, weaknesses, so forth. They're going to be on your side. Um, I certainly, I usually recommend that students build a good rapport or start to build a good rapport with their trade instructors because they're constantly monitoring them and advising within their trades. Certainly, counselors, um, even CTR, coordinators, instructor here. And you might even want to, I might even want to suggest if you have a rapport with, Miss Lane or Mr. Gale, certainly give yourself the opportunity to gather their information, professionally request their information as a reference. Those professional references are going to come in very clutch when it comes down to the company deciding on whether you're going to be a good fit for the position. Okay? The next item is certainly selecting the right outfit. I think for men, it's going to be like a white shirt with a tie, possibly some khakis. Um, for women, it could certainly be a blouse with some business pants. It'll certainly vary. If you have any, if you, I'll put it this way: if you need clarification or you need examples, you can certainly Google them, or later after this lesson, I can certainly give you photos and samples that I've built associated to the outfit section. It's certainly very important to look the part professionally. It'll certainly give you a great deal of confidence when you're going into an interview as well. The next item is mapping your route. I can't express the importance of this more than anything. If you're not able to get to your scheduled interview and you show up late because of traffic or whatnot, that's going to look very bad upon you. So I certainly make it a good practice to detail the process of routing your trip to the interview. Certainly want to know how long it's going to take to get there. If there's any back ways to the site, because in the end, if we are showing up late to an interview, we're pretty much disqualifying ourselves from the opportunity. So certainly practice mapping the route to your interview, so that way all the obstacles that could possibly uh, arise during that specified interview date. All right,
Or you can just show up early.
definitely always
Yeah.
like that. Have you ever heard the saying? You if you show up on time, you're late. and if you show up 15 minutes early, you're on time.
Yeah.
That's a crucial item to remember. Um, but nevertheless, it's always a good practice uh, to make the practice trip to the site, the location of where you're at. Yeah, it could certainly be a deciding factor whether you want to work at that company. You know, I know for myself, I had interviews 2 hours away. Companies wanting to offer me positions here and there, but because of the distance, certainly was just too far. Having a family obligation, to children, you know, you would have to be cautious in the distance because of potential emergencies that would arise. So I would certainly put that a high indicator on whether uh, the position is suited for you, because the distance may be too lengthy. You may not enjoy the trip after a certain particular time frame. So certainly map your route, practice it, see if it's going to fit your personal preference. So that way, you're able to decide on that opportunity. So the next item is certainly to have your questions ready to ask the interviewer slash employer. This is going to be a very hot topic right here. Um, if you're not practicing or making yourself known to these questions, you're going to be losing out on the opportunity to ask for various things. Negotiate. These items could be related to things you can negotiate. That's probably the best way to say it. And if you're not asking them or you're not informing yourself based off of these questions, you're going to be losing out on a lot. So certainly have questions that you want detailed to the employer slash interviewer. Have them ready to go. Those are hot topics. Those should be ready and willing to be addressed as soon as the interviewer gives you the opportunity to talk about those. The next item you certainly want to have is a prepared, updated resume. I know I want to work with students that want a very strong, finalized resume. By the end of this course, we should have one. Okay, certainly a cover letter, reference letter, and you want to have a thank you letter prepared as well. Within the resume, cover letter, reference page, you certainly want to do um, up to 3 to 5 copies for that particular interview. I know I've practiced years before. I used to have 10 sets of these items. I would have them in my leather portfolio ready to go. In some cases, I would even have a business card, a very plain business card with my name, telephone number, and email address. Certainly, with those particular items, they will be able to contact you very quickly if they have something like that to carry with them. Nevertheless, moving on to the next part, the interview introduction area. Certainly, I'm gonna ask that within this area, you understand that your intro is usually gonna last between 2 and 3 minutes. So it's probably when you're gonna be meeting your interviewer or interviewers. Um, it may possibly happen during the interaction you have, possibly like in a lobby, maybe in the area where they have the administrative assistant. Just going to be, it should be like quick chit chat. Might be signing in to the actual company's log. So within that area, stay professional. Keep your confidence level up. Be ready for any type of opportunity that may arise. All right. They will then escort you to the interview room or the area where they will process your interview. I always make it a good practice to have students have a strong handshake ready. You just like you would have a smile ready to go, um, engaging a certain person for the first time. You definitely want to consider that as well. I think a strong handshake says a lot. Certainly says, in my point of view, that you're confident and that you're ready to go. Again, stay confident or stand confidently. Always make good eye contact, and always allow the interviewer, the employer, to let to tell you when to take your seat or whenever you've been asked to do so. We're going into interview questions. I highly recommend student practice these or do like role play regularly. If if you have, we'll say 3 or 4 days uh, prior to an interview, practice these with someone. If you're still here at Job Corps and you have an interview to practice with, hey, give me a heads up. Maybe we, outside of CTR1, maybe you need a little bit of practice. Certainly, if you ask me to schedule a date to where we can practice on these, I can certainly do some role playing with you. But give yourself the opportunity to do these on a regular basis, so that way, when you're communicating the information, it flows and it flows decisively. Um, can't express that more enough. But certainly the items that I specified here are tell me about yourself or tell me a little bit about yourself. What is your greatest strength? What is your greatest weakness? How do you handle stress and pressure? And why should we hire you? These are all items that are, related to who you are and what you're all about. So when you practice these, certainly refine them each and every time that you find potential in the change. You may want to write those down. I certainly do a lot of journaling because within every question that you answer, you may find a better way to submit or clarify your response each and every time that you do your role playing or practice. So provide yourself that time to enhance your knowledge, to master the process of answering each and every question. I'm going to go in now into the specifics. So within the first question, tell me about yourself or tell me a little bit about yourself. I will say, first and foremost, be confident. You definitely want to be decisive. Be clear. Don't go overboard with your answers. Certainly want to get to the point. Now, with the answers that I put here, the specifications, so be work specific. Tell the hiring manager where you are professionally, what you have learned from your past or prior work experiences, and then talk about what makes you excited about the specific opportunity. All right. So, next item is don't dive into your life story. I use the practice PPF format, present, past, and future. I think this is a very structured way to answer this particular question. Um, I think the specifics should be, maybe like 3 items for your present, 3 items for your past, and 3 items for your future. Now, each of these items should flow into one or the other, and they should be decisive answers. Next, the hiring manager doesn't want to hear about your growing up on the 28th Avenue or the road from Trader Joe's and how it was a coincidence that you had a brother named Joe, etc. Trying to make it funny there, but nevertheless, be specific, be decisive. Don't go over your whole life experience. Just get to the point. All right. Let's see. That's pretty much it with that one. I do believe with practicing this first question, if you do it thoroughly enough, the interview process it's going to be short and sweet. If you know enough about yourself and you practice, it should eliminate extra questions that they may potentially provide you. So keep that in mind. You certainly want to be prepared for the greatest strengths opportunity. This question itself is going to be where you discuss the attributes that will qualify you for the specific job, and it sets you apart from the other candidates. Okay. Again, with this one, you want to have a sense of confidence. You want to be certainly decisive in how you answer. Do not answer the question with a long list of vague strengths. These are certainly items that you're going to focus on that are actual strengths that are directly related to the position of the company. Now, to clarify this, I usually recommend, and I make it a practice to tell students the most that they may want to hear could be like 3 strengths. I would certainly recommend that you practice on relating your strengths to possible examples where you provided those strengths. Now, you may want to practice them in the event that the employer or interviewer asks for clarification. You want to have those in your back pocket if in the event they ask you how they related to your prior work history or to your training. You certainly want to be ready for that clarification part. Okay, and again, be decisive, be to the point. Don't veer away into a long, long discussion of detail. Just get to the point, and again, stay very confident with your communication, and be focused. Next item is your greatest weakness. Another good item to practice. Now, within this particular question, I would certainly recommend to practice on at least one to discuss. This is certainly going to be an area where you frame your answers around positive aspects of your skills, training, abilities as an employee. You may also show relevant items of your training. This particular area, you're going to be discussing skills that you have improved upon during your previous job or training, so that you are showing the interviewer that you can make improvements when necessary. So there's also the process of professional development that certain companies will provide you. Now, that's something that could help in making your weaknesses better or strengthening them. Now, I certainly want to elaborate on this and be specific. Whenever you are discussing your weakness in an interview, make sure that you clarify, the improvement, how you improved, who helped you improve on this weakness, and be specific as well as decisive. Get to the point in this area. Don't linger off and go overboard. Just get to the point. Okay. Next item is how do you handle stress and pressure? In my own professional experience, I haven't seen this question very, very often, but I certainly recommend that that you do practice it in the event that you are offered this question. So certainly things to stay away from is do not share a story about a time when you were stressed out because you procrastinated or had to finish a project quickly or last minute. These are certainly going to be positive aspects, and certainly you want to keep your confidence, keep the excitement up, and convey a positive experience with the item that how you handle the stress or the pressure in a certain experience, maybe within trade. Could be also maybe in your dorm. I've heard of several stories from students where they utilize their experience as like a dorm leader or as an SGA student. Those key experiences are going to prove uh, positive experiences, and certainly a detailed like storyline on where you were. I guess it's best to say it in this, where you rose to the occasion. So certainly keep focus on the time. I would certainly say stay away from multiple experiences. Just focusing on one that is very strong. And again, stay decisive and confident whenever you're answering this question. Certainly maintain eye contact. Um, and if given the question for clarification, be ready for that as well. All right. This next question is pretty much the bread and butter of interview questions. I certainly I feel like I've seen this question multiple times in my professional career. Why should we hire you? Now, going into this question, I usually express um, examples related to welding. One, I think it's a good way to express a confident answer in this area. One, usually your welders are very confident in their skills. I think I read a while back in a newsletter that 93% of the people that are welders are they're specific to that skill. 93% of them have that skill, um, have the ability to do that. So, and using that example as a welder or a welder answering this question, you would want to think, well, I'm certainly capable of beautiful welds. I'm confident in my capabilities. Let's see. There's so many items that you could relate to. This is a very high confidence builder. You get to elaborate on so many strong skills that you have, but you definitely want to convey the message that certainly um, makes you stand out above the rest. And again, when I utilize the example of welders, I certainly express that because in most cases, if you're a very good welder, you make beautiful welds, you're confident in that they're going to hold, you should be able to convey a message on how excited you are about being able to provide your great skills to this company. Now, I've provided some details right here for this question, so I'm going to elaborate on that. So, what makes you the best fit for this position? Well, certainly, as my example stated earlier, was beautiful welds, confidence in your capabilities. Um, could be various things because our trades are different. So we certainly want to find out what we're the best at. What makes me number one. What made me stand out and complete my trade better than the other candidates. Okay, so certainly whenever you're building your answer, keep that in mind. Your answer in this question should be concise, or like a sales pitch that explains what you have to offer the employer. If you're confident in your capabilities, once again, it should be when and where you sell yourself. Again, be decisive on how you answer. All right. Next item, I'm going to be pushing forward a little faster and realize the time. So, questions to ask the interviewer. This usually happens towards the end of the interview. Yes, you should have these questions prepared prior to the interview. Try and stay away from the questions about salary, benefits, vacation, holiday pay, or sick pay. Why? Because in most cases, this information is going to be provided within your job description. So if you are referencing any questions related to that, certainly allow the manager or the interviewer to provide uh, those questions, or allow them to bring up those issues or items, before you say anything. And if you happen to bring these up accidentally, definitely, definitely state that you want clarification. That's a good way to get more information in those particular areas. So again, those questions you want to stay away from, or specifically ask for clarification. And remember that allow the manager or interview person to bring those up. Okay. So I do have some sample questions for the interviewer provided right here. I'll certainly post this in the area where I have these assigned. But there are a few that I wanted to cover real quick because it's very lengthy. But first and foremost, the one that I usually recommend practicing with, because it could potentially lead to a job offer, is let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe. So this is probably my favorite sample question to ask the interviewer. Do you have any concerns or hesitations about my fit for this position? You ask yourself that question um, multiple times and think about it. Okay. Within that type of question that you present to the interviewer, you could certainly follow it up with another question, possibly, well, sir, if there are no concerns or hesitations about my fit for this position, what's potentially stopping you from offering the position or job to me today? Think about that answer. Now, if you, you're going to find out a very good outcome. So I certainly stand behind that. But you got to practice. It's not something that is going to just come out of you whenever you want. It takes a lot of practice. Okay. But again, I'm going to provide this detailed document of information within the assignment, because we're almost done with the lesson. But the next area I do cover is the questions for or per career development and promotion. These are crucial to remember. You're going to want to practice on these as well. I'll go through these real quick. What are the opportunities for promotion? How does an employee prepare for promotion in a company? What positions could I promote to? What formal means are available for career development? What training and educational opportunities are available for career development? What opportunities do employees have to learn about and work in other departments? All right. Again, I do cover the illegal job interview questions with topic and examples. Certainly familiarize yourself with these. I would certainly recommend that if in the event you go to an interview, I would certainly take this packet with you. Certainly something that will keep your mind refreshed on what to ask, what to be aware of. So again, I'm going to hold off on this just for time reasons. All right. So next item is closing the interview. So you're certainly going to thank the interviewer for their time. Specify a little bit of what you've learned in that time and where you may fit in. Ask what are the next steps in the hiring process, and please, above all, whenever closing the interview, ask for a business card. It's also very important to know when. Now, this is very important to know when a follow-up is okay. Certainly know the specific times and days. Why? Because if in the event that you do a follow-up outside of the time frame or specified times, it could potentially disqualify you from the interview. All right. And I'll get into more detail once I get to the last part of this document. Okay, so again, no specific times and days, and then certainly want to thank your certainly thank the secretary, administrative assistant before leaving. This certainly leaves a lasting impression of your professionalism right before you're exiting the area. You know, I've seen in certain professional circumstances where the interviewer uh, could ask for advice or information related to uh, you know, to what kind of vibe they got from you, or you know, how you presented yourself in front of them. You know, it could be multiple items that could be relayed to that interviewer based off of what she is, you know, what that person observed. So keep that in mind. Again, I'll get to the specifics about the follow up shortly. The follow up after interview, certainly send a thank you letter or card within 24 hours of interview. I usually make it a practice to have students, um, you know, certainly have those prepared the day before. Certainly have those ready to go. You could possibly have those thank you letters or cards presented to the secretary, administrative assistants to pass on to the interviewers. Okay? It's a very easy process. You know, handing it off will certainly give you a leg up against any other candidates because they're seeing it earlier. Okay. Let's see. This gives you an opportunity to thank the interviewer, restate your interest, include any information that you may have not mentioned in the interview. Certainly tailor letters or cards to each person you met during the interview. Let's see. Email versus mail. Do not lose formality. Stick to professional format. So during the follow-up questions, remember this particular area. The follow-up questions must be during specific hours. I need to reiterate that because, like I said, it could disqualify you. You know, failure to follow directions could cost you the position. All right. I do cover in this area, the next section, making the final decision, the evaluation subjects. So definitely want to know how much time you have to decide on an offer. Do your research on salary before you, beforehand, so that you have an idea of general range for positions in your field and level of experience. Know what items are negotiable and what you may lobby for, like more vacation, flexible hours, performance-based bonuses, and more. As I stated earlier, when you're asking the interviewer questions, you know, when they present you the question, do you have any questions for me? Certainly, those questions that you provide them could be a negotiating factor, could process more vacation, flexible hours, and so forth. In the event that you're not offered the salary that you were hoping for, if you have the right questions ready to go, it could be a negotiating factor that could provide you more in those particular areas, or maybe in other areas that would suit you. Could be, like I stated, right, a flexible schedule or hours. You know, some people work better in the evening, not so much in the morning. So definitely keep that in mind. I provided a salary information tool so that way you can kind of gauge the salary that you are certainly considering. I will also state that your CTS provider would have a lot of information on this as well. So just about done here. I'm going to close with these last remarks. In every class that I've had, many students consider the interview over when they have left the office or the site of the interview. An interview is over when you have been officially offered the position, or in some cases, hopefully, you know, staying positive, hopefully it won't be the alternative, you know, not being offered the position. But in most cases, as I state right here, the interview is over when you have officially been offered the position. All right. I will also state Let's see if I put it on here. So I may have to update that as well. Um, Whenever you are officially offered a position and you are certainly um, trying to decide whether you want the position or you want to negotiate on the position, make sure you have a firm offer. I think it's a very good practice to have either an email, some kind of documentation that you've been offered the position, and make sure that you certainly understand that before you do any strategic or very high level of negotiations, that you do have that on hand. Can't express that more than enough. But specifically, when it comes to negotiation, you certainly want to have that to back you up. Okay, so again, this is the interview, the notes that I've created for today. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and post this information once I update it a little bit more to the assigned area. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot. You have any questions, Patrick?
No, sir.
Okay. So whenever you are certainly having your panel meeting, I recommend that you use uh, some of the notes that I provided or detail. It'll help you in clarifying your career path, because again, you're going to be presenting your information to the CTR Grad 90 coordinator, and the more you clarify and specify in detail, the better you're going to be off when it comes to resources and planning and so forth. So keep this information, ready to go. Like I said, I'm going to be posting this a little later today once I've updated with a little bit more information. So something that is, I would recommend taking it with you to an interview in the event that you need to refresh your memory. But anyhow, that's all I have. This is Mr. Loya. This is live lesson interview process, interview information. Um, it is already 2:42, so I'm going to go ahead and close out the live session. I appreciate you being here, Mr. Leha, Mr. Milner. Hope you guys have a good afternoon. And yeah, that's it for today.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right.